A racist judge mocked her for being black until she humiliated him in the Supreme Court. Don't make me laugh. You are just an insignificant black woman. Go back to Africa with all your tribe. Judge Horace Winstone sneered, pointing at the young black woman standing next to him, unaware that she was a genius who would utterly humiliate him minutes later. Before continuing, don't forget to comment on which country you are watching us from. The Supreme Court chamber was unusually crowded. The press waited in the back, cameras ready. Judge Horace Winstone, an icon of the most conservative wing, flipped through the case file with disgust. Case November of 2023. The state versus Mr. Silas. Defense represented by Ms. He smirked. Amara Kingston, who decided it was a good idea to let a black activist represent a federal case. Amara rose, composed in a plain but striking red suit, her skin radiant under the white courtroom lights. The bold color contrasted with her calm eyes, steady, proud, and quietly defiant. Present, Your Honor, Amara Kingston, counsel for Mr. Silas. I am here by legal designation within the constitutional framework. Winstone laughed cruelly. A black woman talking about the Constitution? Spare me. This is not a place for stories from a brat who learned to read yesterday. Amara tightened her grip on her folder. Her client, Mr. Silas, accused of murdering a white officer, looked to her with quiet desperation. Your Honor, she said firmly, I hold a federal license, and my client has the right to a fair trial. Fair trial? Judge Barnett scoffed. Is it fair for a criminal to have a resentful little black lawyer with a diversity scholarship? Laughter echoed. Winstone leaned closer. Tell me, Ms. Kingston, what makes you think you belong here? Why aren't you with your tribe instead of pretending you know the law? Amara's heart pounded, but she stood firm. Because I know this case better than anyone. Because Mr. Silas was framed, and because this court is overlooking a violation of due process. Enough, Winstone shouted. You're warned for your attitude. Speak again like that, and you'll be removed for contempt. She didn't lower her gaze. She had trained her whole life for this, for the day she would face power and refuse to bow. The room went silent. Who do you think you are? Winstone hissed. This is my court. Do you understand, black woman? Amara swallowed the fury rising in her throat. He waved the file in the air. Your client is a criminal, and you're nothing more than a pity hire, a fool with a fake degree. Objection, Amara said quietly. The judge laughed. To what? The truth? You don't belong here. The audience chuckled. Prosecutor Dawson smiled smugly. No one defended her. If you refuse to allow evidence, Amara said, trembling, this is not a trial. It's a lynching. Watch your mouth, Winstone spat. Keep defying me and you'll leave in handcuffs. Her chest tightened. Fear and rage mixed inside her. Tears welled up, but she stood still. She knew justice didn't live in that room, but she would fight with the one weapon they couldn't strip from her, her mind. Look who's crying now, Winstone sneered. Are those professional victim tears? No one pities you, little black woman. Dawson chuckled. From the gallery came whispers, about time someone put her in her place. Winstone continued. Did you think you could change the system with your little folder and that Harvard pose? You probably got it out of pity. Amara closed her eyes, not from weakness, but from restraint. They twisted every word she said. The system was meant to silence her, and it was working. You know what's pathetic? Winstone added, people like you think your skin color deserves applause. You are not a genius. You are a mistake tolerated to avoid the word racism. Amara's tears flowed silently. They weren't weakness. They were centuries of pain breaking through her control. She hated that they saw them, but she would make them regret it. Winstone took a sip of water, smirking. We'll take a 10-minute recess. Maybe our little revolutionary can fix her makeup. He left. Laughter followed. Amara stood motionless, the red fabric of her suit catching the light like a banner of defiance. Dawson passed her, whispering, go back to where they think you're smart. She remembered her grandmother's words. When they don't let you talk, listen. In their arrogance, they'll tell you everything. And they had. Between insults, Winstone and Dawson had revealed names, dates, and details, evidence hidden in plain sight. She mentally reviewed her folder. Her plan would change. She'd strike soon, but precisely. 10 minutes later, the court reconvened. Winstone adjusted his robe. Did you wipe the tears, girl? Good. Let's resume this circus. Amara lifted her head. Her eyes burned with calm defiance. Your Honor, I request permission to present additional evidence regarding a violation of the chain of custody. More papers. Winstone scoffed. Inventing evidence now? Hilarious. They are not invented, Amara said. They are official records from the prosecutor's office, documents that contradict the statement made by Detective Garrett Lyons. The name dropped like a hammer. Dawson stiffened. Winstone frowned. What did you say? Detective Lyons signed 2 reports with different times for the weapon seizure. One was sealed by Prosecutor Dawson 3 days after the supposed arrest. I have copies, seals, and signatures. Dawson nervously stood up. That was not on the evidence agenda. It wasn't, Amara said, because you wouldn't let me speak. So I sat and listened, and while you shouted useless and little girl at me, you exposed yourselves more than you thought. The judge hit the gavel hard. Silence. But there was no silence. Journalists scribbled notes. Assistants whispered. Dawson was sweating. That is false, he said, waving his hand. Manipulation. That kind of cheap strategy cheap? Amara interrupted. How is falsifying evidence cheap? How is inventing an eyewitness who disappears cheap? The room froze. Winstone's arrogance drained away. Do not accuse a federal prosecutor without proof, Ms. Kingston. I don't, she said, placing 3 copies on the lectern. The documents do. The room's perception shifted. She was no longer a victim, but a threat. Winstone eyed the papers like poison. This proves nothing, he muttered. With respect, Your Honor, it does, she said calmly. It proves the weapon was registered twice and that Prosecutor Dawson signed a non-existent document the same day a precinct officer reported it missing. Murmurs spread. Dawson stepped forward, furious. This court cannot accept last-minute evidence from someone emotionally unstable. She's a disgrace to law. Winstone nodded. I may declare you incompetent, Kingston. Presenting leaks like revelations. This is a farce. Amara looked straight at him. A farce? It's destroying an innocent life to protect careers. It's a black woman being silenced, mocked, and called trash, then labeled emotional when she cries. That is a farce. And you, Your Honor, were the painted nose. The room erupted in discomfort. Winstone roared silence. This session is adjourned. One more insolence, and you'll be expelled and suspended. He stood, but before leaving, Amara's calm voice cut the air. Then explained to the press why a Supreme Court judge protected false evidence in a murder case. Winstone froze mid-step. Dawson turned pale. Cameras pointed at her. I have more, Your Honor, she said coldly. Much more. Outside, protesters waited under gray skies, shouting for justice. Inside, the air turned heavy electric. Judge Horace Winstone entered again, his robe a burden. He knew today could end his empire. At the lectern, Amara stood firm, eyes locked on him. Proceed, Winstone said stiffly. We are here for evidence, not activist conspiracies. She ignored the venom. I present entry number 14 from the Riverwood Precinct log, dated November 9th, 3 days before Mr. Silas's arrest. The screen showed it. Transfer of weapon serial 784 FK to the evidence depot, signed by Dawson. Silence. What is that supposed to prove? Winstone asked. Amara lifted another page. Now the detention record of Mr. Silas, dated November 12th. It says the same weapon was recovered during arrest. The contradiction was lethal. That's a coincidence. Dawson barked. An administrative error. 2 signatures, 3 seals, and a 3-day gap. Amara said. Or a pattern? She held a heavier folder. In 7 months, 5 weapons with conflicting dates. 3 from your office, Mr. Dawson, and every one approved by you, Your Honor. The blow landed. Winstone's hand trembled. Dawson shouted, Objection. No relation? Amara shot back. You're imprisoning people with fabricated evidence and complicit judges. The air thickened. Now everyone saw her not as emotional, but unstoppable. Your Honor, I request an immediate audit of all cases signed by your chambers and by Prosecutor Dawson from May to October. Winstone said nothing. Cameras zoomed in. The silence felt like judgment. Amara placed one final folder on the lectern. This document shows a bank transfer dated February 16 from Crestwood Holdings LLC to the lender for Judge Winstone's home renovation. Amount $5,000. Gasps filled the courtroom. Crestwood Holdings, she continued, is registered under District Prosecutor Darren Dawson and shares the tax address used for external consulting payments by Riverwood Police that same month. Dawson stammered, I have no knowledge of that. It's a setup. The digital signature on the renovation contract was verified this morning by a federal expert, Amara said. It matches yours, Your Honor. The email was sent from your assistant's account. The receipt bears your home address, registered since 1998. Document after document filled the screen, proofs like bullets, seals like verdicts. Winstone's color drained. His gavel hand shook. He was no longer a judge, just a fallen man gasping in defeat. The courtroom erupted in shouting, cameras flashing, chaos blooming. Amara did not celebrate. She simply breathed for the first time in peace. Then a strong voice echoed, "Order in the court." The auxiliary judge stood. As of this moment, Judge Horace Winstone is suspended pending investigation for conflict of interest, collusion, and corruption. Winstone tried to speak, but no one listened. His downfall was complete. The man who had mocked, humiliated, and silenced her was now nothing. And the woman he once called useless walked out, not as a victim or martyr, but as what she had always been, a brilliant lawyer who made justice finally stand.